Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Public Works and Finance Committee meeting of the Moscow City Council. It is Monday, September 14th in our smoky little community. To my left is, in the front here is Sandra Kelly, and to my left in the back is Brandy Sullivan. Our first up, and I'm Gina Terusio. On the regular agenda, our first item is the approval of August 24th, 2020 Public Works and Finance Committee meeting minutes.
I thought they were divine.
Divine.
They look good to me, too.
Okay, we got a divine and a good, and those are approved, Mr. Riedner.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Second item is the disbursement report of August 2020. Sarah Banks.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
We're good? Okay. Looking at the accounts payable report for month ending August 31st, 2020, our total expenditures came to $2,712,374.49. Our largest expenditure is payroll, $1,151,794. And I only have 3 disbursements that I actually want to point out. One of them was our Phase 2 Well 10 payment in the amount of $168,481.93. We had an Almond Street reconstruction payment for $339,505.85, and then a construction payment for the police department for $156,833.12. Other than that, most payments were pretty standard.
Do you guys have any questions?
No
Edward?
questions.
Okay, Sarah, thank you. We're going to go ahead and approve that report. Do you want us to come down and sign it, or is it with Gary?
I have part of it. I'll get all of those together and have them brought up to you so you can sign them.
Okay, super. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Our third item is the proposed pool employee stipend and lifeguard recertification reimbursement for 2020 pool season. Dr. Dwight.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hello, sir.
Hey, so we talked about this a little bit at a previous council meeting, and there seemed to be support for a stipend for the pool employees. As everybody knows, we had a modified season, short, only a few people got to work. And but we had a crew of 69 people that prepared for a season and stuck around long enough to basically find out that they would not get to work. And at that point, of course, some probably weren't able to find other jobs. And so we wanted to try to help make up for that. These are possible future employees. A lot of them will be back again next year, and some of them for several more years. And so with 69 people, of course, I mean, it doesn't take very much for that to be a lot of money. So we were trying to find something that we thought everybody could live with. It's not going to make up for the summer, but at least show that we do care and help out a little bit. We're recommending a stipend of $150 each for the 69 employees. And then also all of the employees had some expenses. Sorry, my phone's ringing. Expenses associated with certifying and recertifying, and we wanted to reimburse them for those costs. So with this $159 per employee, that ends up being about $10,350. The reimbursements I have in your packets about $1,350. It might be a little bit less than that. There are a few employees that still needed to pay for their training and stuff like that. So we would just deduct that from what the reimbursements would be. In the end, it was a little over 11,000, and we have the money still in the budget, of course. And the season's over. It was, for what we had, it was pretty amazing, I think. And that's what we'd like to do. So the recommendation is the $150 stipend for the 69 employees, as well as reimbursements up to $164.50 for certifications and up to $66 for the recertifications.
Gary?
And I'm open to any questions.
In speaking to finance, there are some payroll issues that we still need to work through. So this would be a maximum amount at this point. I would note, and we've not researched this yet, but is it possible that some of these funds could come from the CARES Act funding because it is incurred because of the employment situation of these folks? We will continue to do that. I would note that the memo or the CCSR indicates that the funds will be paid out of the part-time section of the budget, which is fine. That budget will, as Dwight knows, we're still working through where we're going to end up on year end with that budget. But it appears that this is, we've got the ability to do that. So I think it's a good move to try and provide some appreciation to these employees who essentially gave up their search for other employment on the promise that we were going to open up. And of course, by not opening up, it prevented them from working. So it seems like a fairly minimal amount.
Brandy or Sandra? Brandy?
I do have a question. So in the description on the agenda item, it separates out a stipend amount for those that did not work and a separate one for those who did work. So my question is, are those who were able to work with the smaller schedule also receiving the stipend?
Yes, everybody would get the same stipend. It's so small, but those that did get to work, I mean, made considerably less than they would have had we had a full season. So it just didn't make any sense to mess with that part of it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I mean, I'm just thinking about how they all might feel. I'm not feeling that the amount is too generous. I'm just thinking how they may feel about equity amongst themselves if some of them were still able to work and the stipend was, I don't know if you thought about maybe half of the amount for those that could work, and maybe that's not a good idea, so I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but just thinking about unrest of, some got to work and they're receiving the same amount as those that didn't get to work. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we did think about that and talked about it. And so where we ended up in the same amount was that those employees that stuck around and worked likely took a bigger hit than those that didn't get to work. Right. The other ones that didn't get to work for the city, hopefully anyway, got other jobs where they were able to work and make all that, whatever it is they were going to make for the summer, where those that worked for us were stuck with just the small amount of hours that we were able to offer. Right. So in some ways, they're actually the ones that took the bigger hit.
Sandra?
Yeah, I was going to say sort of the same thing as a person who's worked a lot of summer jobs and I made minimum wage. If I would feel like I was the one getting dinged if this were the case, if I worked very few hours and then someone that didn't have to work also got almost what I made, or even if it was just a little bit less, I think that would be almost the opposite effect. So I'm glad that both can get a stipend for this.
Yeah. I have to say that I hear your words, Dwight, about future employees, current and future employment potential. And I while it isn't, a huge amount of money, it is a recognition from the city, with what they're up against and kind of appreciation. So I'm hearing positive. Do you have any other statements, Brandy? You look like you might.
No, I just appreciate just knowing that that was a part of the discussion, and thank you for the explanation for why you came to that conclusion.
Okay, so Gary, do you want to, or do we want to put that on the consent agenda, or do you want to talk about it at the meeting?
You certainly can. We will, again, continue to work with payroll and try to figure it out. It can certainly go on the consent agenda. If there's some change, we will bring it back on the regular.
All right, let's do
And if there are
that.
any questions, you certainly can pull it off.
Let's do that. Okay, so consent agenda, and we think it's a good thing, Dwight and Karen, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you,
our next
and
item.
for all the support for the summer.
Yeah. Our next item is a proposed fee amendment. No, it's proposed fee amendments, more than one. Mr. Reedner, as you hand out, I'm having to multitask here.
Hey, while we still have Dwight here, oh darn, but Karen's still here. I just did want to say that I have heard from many people who were very appreciative of what you managed to do at the pool and said it was a great experience having those lap swim. And we're very grateful. So thank you for all the thought and care that you put into making that happen.
Thank you. It's appreciated by all of us. I'm blessed to have an amazing staff that I work with. So thank you for the recognition, and I will make sure that I spread it forth.
Awesome.
Just about ready.
Okay. Floor is all yours, Mr. Reedner.
Thank you. I'll keep this fairly short. As the council knows, in the August 3rd, council approved the fee resolution for FY '21. And there were some things that we knew were not going to be included in that resolution, things that came up a little later. The first of those would be what was included in your packet, downtown parking permits, which have been a discussion of the council for some time. The increase in the downtown parking permits is the same ratio. That would be on page 21 of 30 of the proposed fee resolution. So that is the ratio from monthly, quarterly, and annually reflects the proposed increase to get to the previous level after 3 years as directed by council. So that's what's in as far as parking. Because that increase is over 5%, we will have to have a public hearing on the revised fee resolution, and we will set that up for council.
Can I make a clarification?
Yes.
I don't think it was as directed by council, it was as suggested
Okay,
by council,
okay.
because I don't think we've come to a decision on
No,
it yet.
that's true. You asked that we put something together and bring that forward, so.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse my
That's
change
okay. I
of
just-
vernacular then.
Just want to be clear.
Okay. Secondly, as you can see from the description that I just handed out, we've got a couple of different things going on, mostly with inspections right now. Circus and peddlers adds clarification to those definitions, so that assists us as people are looking through the fee resolution, what they are subject to pay and what not. Vendors, as indicated by the city clerk, there are fire and community planning and design, mobile vending units, new inspection fee, lower renewal inspection fee, and you'll see that in a couple of different places. If there is involvement from city staff in inspection, measuring, the sorts of things that you need to for an initial inspection, the cost is usually more expensive than a renewal. A renewal where you come in and you're just essentially checking against last year's, it's a little bit different. Okay, so, and you'll notice in the vendors, we did request from fire what they're, because we're trying to keep these fees in line with what it is actually costing us to perform them. Fire indicated that really sidewalk vending units are a walk-by, nothing that takes a lot of work, so there is no inspection fee from the fire department in that. Okay, the sidewalk cafe license fee remains at $25, but however, there is a different application process, as Lori has reported in the past. There are some things that need to be done, though. It involves ADA access now. There has to be maintained a certain amount of ADA access, depending on what type of passage for the public to pass down the public right-of-way is. So there is a fee, again, that is related to that. The renewal fee is, if it's the same site plan, it's the same site plan, so that is less cost. Alcohol inspection fees are ones that, as you know, Idaho has a liquor permit and a beer and wine permit. So you get some inspection fees that apply to each. We're standardizing so that they apply to the same across the board. And again, those are typically that They must be inspected by the city clerk, by the fire department, by the police department, mostly having to do with the site where alcohol can be served. So this just cleans that up. So some of the other clarifications have to do with just essentially that it's better in this section than in another section. So again, for ease of use of the fee resolution. I would note that on page 18 of 30, inspection fee, there is a highlighted portion that says, if a building permit is required for any construction or remodeling, the inspection fee will be waived. And that is because that should have been included in the original that was in the packet but was not. So that was in what we had intended to bring on, and so that will be what is put out for the public hearing.
Okay.
With that, I'd answer any questions I can, and I can drag the city clerk down here if I need to.
Brandy or Sandra, any questions? Go ahead.
Sure. So the sidewalk renewal inspection, so the original one entails the fire and everything else you put on there that are involved, and therefore the larger, let me be clearer. Fire and streets personnel reviewing the location.
Yes.
And putting together a site plan. What does the renewal inspection entail?
It's again, unless it changes, they're changing their site plan. Essentially, it is just a matter of checking this site plan against the previous one, making sure that the permits are, or are you talking just about fire and?
No, I
Please.
am asking the $30 for the renewal inspection fee. That's new, correct?
Yes.
And that is a matter of, I wanted to know what that process involves. Is it the clerk, then the city clerk, looking at making sure there's no changes from the prior year?
You went away, Lori.
Yeah. Looked like she really wanted to talk, too.
I think she's coming down.
Coming over.
Okay.
Oh,
Our city
hear her
clerk is coming
footsteps
down
in
the
the-
stairs. That is a good question, Brandy. I was a little bit unclear about that as well. And is that an annual review, renewal kind of a thing, or is it
Yes.
And I'm wondering, is there a site visit associated with it? Is it,
Sorry, I didn't think you could hear me.
okay.
we couldn't, so it's good that you came down.
So the $30 inspection fee is included in the alcohol renewal. And so this $30 will be for those that don't serve alcohol. Because the $30, when you have an inspection as your renewal for alcohol, it's included there. They're just looking over that sidewalk cafe at the same time they're looking over the building. So basically the 30, and that's already been included for the last 2 or 3 days, or years. The $30 that's spelled out there is really for those that don't have alcohol.
Right. And that's pretty clear to me because of the little addition on there. I'm just wondering, so for those that don't serve alcohol, what is involved, what is required by the city to do the renewal inspection? What does that entail?
When we get the renewal application, I will go out, I'll bring Dan with me just to
Okay.
make sure the ADA is still there, just to make
Got it.
sure it's still in place.
So it is a site visit. So you're actually going out there and making sure there's no changes and that everything is still in
I
compliance
think
with.
there's only 2 or 3 that don't serve alcohol.
Okay.
I have a question related to that before you jump on to the next one. So in a moment of a dispute between neighbors, per se, is a inspection required again then? And do they pay another fee, or is it all included in that initial fee?
As in a second, having to go out a second time?
Say there's a dispute on boundaries, and the one sidewalk cafe has changed their boundaries. Does that trigger then a new inspection and a new fee?
What you're asking is if someone is issued a permit
Right,
and there is a complaint that maybe that person is encroaching on the,
uh-huh,
there would be no additional fee for verifying that either they are within their permit or they're acting outside of their permit, at which point they would be told, bring your permitted site back into the permitted plan, or obtain permission from your neighbor if you're able to expand
Okay.
and the code allows it at that time.
So it's all kind of included in the original fee
Yeah,
and
that would be an
inspection?
enforcement issue, not a permit issue.
Okay. Okay, it's just one fee and one inspection. Awesome. Okay. Do you have another question?
I do. I don't want Lori to leave yet. So then the initial new sidewalk cafe license inspection of the 125? So what happens to those businesses that already have it? Is this only for additional? Are they grandfathered in, or will they be assessed this because they've never had to pay that fee before?
No, the existing sidewalk cafes will just have the $30 annual
Okay.
fee. If someone wants to start a new sidewalk
Yeah.
cafe, they will pay the $125, because the street department and the fire department will go out, look at their area, look and see what they want to do, make sure there is the ADA, 4-foot ADA access, 50% of the I can't remember what the code says. There's some regulation in the code that I'm not real knowledgeable about, and so I want the street department to go out and take a look, measure things. They know a lot more about the sidewalks. The fire inspector wanted to look as well, because there has been some issues on, what did he say, like ingress, egress, and then stuff on the wall, like water spouts and whatnot. And so then they're gonna help with putting together a site plan. One of my issues has been in the past that my site plans for sidewalk cafes don't have enough detail on them. They just don't show enough, and so I want to help promote site plans being more detailed.
I guess, and where I'm going with that is, it almost seems like maybe that needs to happen with even the ones that currently have sidewalk licenses, because they haven't been through this process of really having, some that had recently applied for the expansion did have streets come out and submitted something more detailed, but I don't know that we've ever gone through that process, even for the existing ones.
So my new application for new sidewalk cafes, I had engineering put together a example site plan that shows what exactly I want, and that will be included on my new sidewalk cafe renewal sheet.
Okay.
But I wasn't planning on charging that $125
Okay.
come December and January.
Okay.
But they
Sandra?
will be required to do a better site plan.
Okay.
So mine piggybacks on this. I was walking through downtown and I thought, oh, it's getting colder. Yay. And then I thought about propane heaters. Is that part of the plan when they present it to you, that if this goes into winter and late fall, that they might want to have those little propane heaters out there? And if not, is that something we should be thinking about when we look at inspections?
You know, I don't think propane heaters are even mentioned in the code.
Yeah, are you saying about the expanded sidewalk cafes or the current ones?
The expanded.
Expanded will expire October 5th,
Oh, that's right, okay.
4th.
Yeah,
Yes,
It's
the
through the
4th, you're
4th.
right.
okay.
And as far as that goes, if propane heaters were allowed, then they would have to pass any fire code
Right.
inspection.
Okay.
If they were allowed. I'm not certain that they're
Yes.
allowed even in an existing sidewalk cafe.
Any other questions?
No, I guess I do have one more. Do you have an idea of how long let's say it's a new business applying for it, how long that process would take to get the inspection completed? I mean, typically, would it be something they could expect to happen within a month or?
Yeah,
Okay.
we usually process them within a week or two.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, well, our action on this is what, Mr. Reedner?
Just set it for public hearing and council can consider it.
Okay. I say we set it for public hearing.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Okay, and we're going to forward to the full council. So that is our last item on our agenda.
Okay, I do have an announcement. As I reported at our last council meeting, that council may need to meet Wednesday to talk about, a special meeting to talk about any issue that we have with the L2 or the CARES Act reimbursement. And it does not appear like we will need that, council's actions. Nothing has changed thus far. I can't imagine that it will, but it appears that we will not need to have that meeting at this point, but we'll keep you informed.
Awesome. Okay. Excellent. Okay, well, shall we adjourn?
Yes.
Okay, all right, well, that is a motion and a second, I take it. Okay, awesome. We're done, sir.
Thank you. Submission of that letter, talking about the fact that they felt that the program went beyond the CARES Act authority. The Bonner County Commissioners filed a lawsuit in